Have you ever had any like professional training with just public speaking, or like how did you learn to get confident and kind of like tell stories, etc.?
Yeah, I have had some training, and I'll tell you, it came from a strange source actually. The school that I went to was in Cumbria. I am, in fact, a Cumbrian. And my first exposure to good public speaking was with Sellafield. Now, you'd be aware that Sellafield now is a nuclear reprocessing plant. It was a power station then. And we, through the sort of young enterprise scheme that they used to run, I'm sure they run something similar now, it's where they bring schools together with industry. Now, if you're talking about that part of West Cumbria, what was the industry there? Well, it was Marchon, which is a chemical, it makes washing powder, and it was Sellafield, and they were the sort of big employers. There isn't a great deal of industry in West Cumbria. There's farming, of course there is, particularly sheep farming, and it's really a kind of rural place. But in terms of industry, we had Sellafield, and they had people from around the country and around the world who were experts in their particular fields. Because if you're working in nuclear power, you know, you're not mucking around. You know, it's a serious business, and they had people from who had to present to government departments, and I imagine that a lot of the time they would get a lot of difficult questions. So when they taught us as school children to present through the Young Enterprise Scheme, I was blown away by their professionalism. And it was the first time, I think, you know, when you're at school, you're dealing with teachers. Nothing wrong with that. But you're not necessarily dealing with people who've got a lot of professional industry experience, where they've got an extra pressure on them, which is to, you know, make money, which is to uphold the values of their corporation, which is to all that kind of thing. And they were really the first ones to sit us down, of which I was one of the people who was heavily involved with it, and talk to us about how you build a presentation. And I was extremely active in the drama department at school. And I think that really helps you get over your problems with public speaking, because you have to kind of, it's a bit of a trial by fire, I think, every time. And I mean, I've been in the church choir when I was, I think, from 7, and I'd been kind of encouraged to do solos because I think at 7 I looked cute. And so people like, even the quality of my voice, you know, was all right, but I think people liked it because I was 7. And I was always pushed to do that and had to experience the nerves, which were horrible. But then you do grow with confidence. It doesn't mean I found that the nerves go away, but you do grow with confidence. You think, no, actually, I can do this little by little. The world doesn't end, you know, when after I speak. You have, I think, with acting, and I'm talking about, in my case, doing it at a very low level, but you have that horrible moment where before you go on stage, you've forgotten all your lines. Terrifying. And then you go on stage and they all come back, and the world doesn't end. So every time something happens like that where the world doesn't end, you build your confidence. And so with a little bit of technical help, which the Sellafield guys really gave us, on how to build presentations, how to work in, how to try and be convincing, how to build facts, and all that kind of thing. I think that was probably an early introduction to having to speak in front of people. And after that time, I then got an interest in it and learned from people. So the kind of people that I enjoyed were people who didn't fall into the normal pattern of doing things. And there is a corporate way of doing it. And I think that corporate way of doing it is very easy to turn off from. And it certainly wasn't what interested me. And then my sort of style of doing things, I think, further developed through being in the army. And the army is interesting because you're teaching things to people who have no interest in learning academically, typically, especially if, like me, you're in the infantry. So you're presenting to people who, in most cases, have no academic qualifications, no GCSEs, A to F, whatever it is, you know, 0. They're not academic people. So the people who present on things in the army get a way of doing it, which is suitable for that kind of person, which generally includes a lot of humor. And it includes keeping stories short and engaging, because the attention span's not very long. anything that is dull, they learn how to pick it up with a funny story or something which allows you to attach it to something practical and work your imagination a little bit. And we had some very, very good instructors, I must say. A lot of them were Scottish. And I don't know why that would be, but I found that some of the finest instructors in the military, in the army, were Scottish. No idea why, but they were very, very good. And they brought the right level of humor. They were precise when they needed to be precise. And they didn't put any nonsense in there that you didn't need. You know, they were kind of my idols really when it came to instructing and speaking.